It's the morning of the Roubaix. We're at the Airbnb, and we have a friend. Hello, friend. Just went out and did like a little bit of a warm-up, and what I realized is I want to have fun, so I'm going to try to relax a little bit, make this about fun. Here's a look at my experience at the 2023 Roubaix. This is a massive gravel race here in Hastings, Michigan. 4,000 plus riders, so they definitely need to release you in waves to make sure you can get through this course without being, congested or just being unsafe, really. So we're doing the 62-mile course this year, just the same as last year, and my Garmin hadn't started yet. I hadn't pressed play. Now I've got that sorted out as we touch the gravel for the first time. So this year I'm in wave 2 of the 62-mile riders. There's 4 waves this year, and last year I was in wave 1. That didn't play out quite as well for me because I ended up cramping, riding solo, and just limping my way to the finish. That's not the goal for this year. This year is fun. Goal is fun, and that means riding at maybe 90-95%, so that way I get through this whole course not feeling good, but just not stopped on the side of the road cramped up. Now as we roll into the first notable feature of the race, this is the first hill of the 3 Sisters, which are 3 consecutive hills which get larger as you go through the 3, and it comes so early in this course that you can really find yourself being trashed by the end of the 3rd sister. The first one, no big deal, just a bump. And we are treated to an absolutely special day here in Michigan. 70, 80 degrees is pretty unlikely any given weekend, especially no rain. This weather was an anomaly, and it was welcomed and very, very enjoyable. The 2nd sister here, look at the riders around me are working hard. I'm working pretty hard, but my heart rate max is about 195 beats per minute. I haven't seen that in a while, but that's what it's been in the past. So I know I'm not on the limit yet as we come over the top of the 2nd sister. Look at these riders on the tandem here. They're eager to move forward, so much so that they actually get a little bit loose on this left-hand side, trying to make up some spots and keep their momentum going, and they have to stop. If they got that thing going again on this hill, that would have been super impressive. Now, if the 3rd sister is longer, you've really got to settle in and grind. You can't just power over it because you will tire out. I'm trying to move up a little bit here. This is a big group, this wave 2. There's a few hundred riders in each wave, I believe, and I'm definitely not at the front of it, but that's okay. I'm still looking to work with people throughout this race, and I suspect, if anything, I can bring people back as the race goes on. And here's a look. We finally get to the top. I didn't leave the whole thing in because it took a long time. And you can see the riders around me were getting pretty tired by the top of that hill. Now, an execution goal. I want to work on my pack skills today because there's so many riders. It's a good opportunity to do so. So I'm going to ride past some people, coast past them when I've got that momentum. We get 4 positions right there. Again, early in the race, not a big deal right now, and positions will come and go, but something I've not done in the past is try to move up in a group. So again, you're going to see me try this around this hill, or this corner rather. On the left side, going to roll through, not doing anything crazy. I'm just carrying that momentum. Going to get a few more spots here as we make this left turn into this little bit of a kicker. So in just a couple of clips there, I'd gotten 10 plus positions for not a whole lot of effort. Now the overlays are gone because I could not sync this up. I could not figure out where I was on the map as I was editing this. But this is Shaw Road. Now you thought Sager was the talk of the town when it comes to the Roubaix. Well, I introduced to you the new hardest part of this race, Shaw Road. It's about 10-ish miles into the race, and it is very difficult. Look at this sand, deep sand. That rider in the middle kicking up big roosters, just trying to get through this thing. You're not riding this. Maybe if you're by yourself and you've got the right tires, you can ride this thing, but I mean, I rode that section, but you'll see this whole stretch of 2 miles of Shaw Road is not rideable in my opinion. Here I just get off because you see there's a rider up in front. He just dropped his tire right into a decent sized hole. It's just kind of the nature of this road. It's very soft, very sandy. And at this point, the whole crew is walking their bikes up this thing. I had not expected this. I thought this was Sager Road. Another rider takes a slight tumble. Hey, the good thing is if you fall in this, it's super soft because the sand is like 6 inches deep. Rider up the middle, they're just sending it on that mountain bike. I tried to go around these riders because they stopped and I ended up completely off the road. So anyways, I wasn't expecting this. I thought maybe this was Sager and it was just reoriented, and then I remembered that there was talk of this Shaw Road being added to this course. This is a new feature this year, and I suspect it will stay in. It was hard. It pretty much throws the discussion about tires out the window because you're going to be walking it, so you might as well just consider your tire options for the rest of the course. Speaking of tires, I was on 40mm tires. A Schwalbe G, one bite in the front, and then a Terravale something or other in the back. It has a flat spot in the middle, kind of like a Specialized Pathfinder Pro. And it was fine for what was rideable. The 40mm were fine. Tough section of road. And then, this is the cherry on top. It spits you out. As soon as you come off of Shaw Road, you are on the Gun Lake Road climb. It's this paved climb, which is pretty substantial. It's consistently steep, and I've been here before in terms of you just get done with a hard sandy walking running section, your heart rate's high, and then you've got to do more work. But today, when I came out onto this road, I'm feeling really good and I want to take advantage of that. So I set a pretty decent power and just start passing people and chasing. Now this rider, he has a titanium kit on. Now I don't exactly know what that means, but he is somebody that I'm going to start looking for throughout the rest of this event. It just seemed like he and I had the same power, the same riding style, and you're going to see a lot more of him throughout this race. This is the backside of Gun Lake where you're cruising down this descent. It's a nice chance to recover. The heart rate's down 165 beats per minute. Now I really don't want to lose these riders in front of me because I'm getting draft from them. We're doing 31 miles an hour with no effort at all. If I were solo, not getting the draft, we're probably not going to be going quite as quick. Now when I wanted to slow down a little bit and not catch up to them too fast, I would just peek out, let the wind stop me, and come back in. So just about a mile or so later, we saw a group up the road, and this other rider with the titanium kit and myself, without really speaking, made the decision to try to catch up to that group because we both know that getting into this group is significant. It makes the rest of the race easier for us. I mean, sure, we could work together for the rest of the time, but it'd be a whole lot better if we could just get into that big group and move faster for less energy. So he had done most of the work there. I'm going to come through, try to set an even pace. We are going downhill, so I'm having trouble getting the power up because we're going 29 miles an hour. On these fast descents like this, I do find the one by on my gravel bike to be a little bit of a disadvantage, but rarely. You're seeing 120 cadence over there, around 34 miles an hour, and we eventually catch back up, and we catch up fast. I didn't want to touch the brakes because I had all this great momentum, so I'm just going to roll up next to the group, 0 watts, and then once I come up to their speed, I'll start pedaling again and get back into the group. I just didn't want to scrub all that energy off by braking when I'd have to make up for it to catch back up with power. So that's why I did that. Now the titanium rider and I exchanged some words, good job, because we got back to this group, or we got up to this group for the first time actually. And this is post Shaw Road, so everything's pretty broken up. But wait, here we go. here's Sager. So this is the typical star of the show, this mile section of Sager Road, which is rocky, sandy, and it's all around pretty difficult, typically. But given that we just did Shaw Road so far, these first few feet of Sager are feeling like a dream. It's pretty hard packed. Now there are some softer sections, and it's definitely reasonable to have some troubles here, especially if you're in a bigger group. We're spaced out quite well. I mean, I'm in the middle of the sandiest bit of Sager Road. Now this fat bike rider, no problem, right? But I'm on 40mm tires, so I'm trying to get over to the side so I can get some of that solid ground. I'll tell you, I'm pretty surprised at how well this is going for me so far. I had really wanted to have bigger tires, something like 45s or 47s, and you can see the other riders are having some troubles with Sager Road, as is to be expected. I mean, it is a challenging section. But I'm riding it. This rider in front of me is taking all the right lines, so I was really using him as a guide. See, there's a tree down here that's sticking into the road a little bit, but there's a line just around it, so I'm going to carve just around that and continue riding Sager Road. Now, I get to ride the entire Sager Road bit, which feels really good. I did that last year as well, but last year it was colder, maybe a little bit more firm. This year it was hot. It had been hot all week, so this is as sandy as it can get, I would imagine. So I expected to have more trouble. Here I'm diving right into the sandiest part. This is where you do not want to be. I'm still able to ride and dive back over to the leaves and the darker colored dirt where it's a little bit more firm. Now, something that you might not really be able to tell from the video is it's pretty steep up and down. You definitely have to brake going down, or at least I did. Maybe you could just end it. But here we go. We're done with Sager. Now, all this happens so quickly. I mean, 20 miles in, you've done Shaw, you've done Sager, and you've got 40 more miles of riding to go. So you definitely get your money's worth in terms of the course at the Barry Roubaix. But this is not it. They've added an additional private land sector, which is going to be coming up shortly as well, which I had no idea what to expect there. So we'll see that soon. But right now I'm putting in an effort to get up to this group because, as usual, I'm always group minded. I always want a free ride, basically, or to work with other people. You know, still feeling good. I've held back, or maybe I'm just more fit, but as I catch up to this group, I mean, 179 beats per minute, I am not killing myself to do this effort. I'm well within what I'm capable of. Now this group swells as riders catch us, we catch other riders, and it becomes quite large again. And this was surprising given that we're already 23 miles into the race. I really expected a smaller group, but now my goal is to get more forward in this group, practice that pack movement, getting forward and being on the right side of a split should there be one. And there's many throughout the day. You can see this group of riders in front here are opening up a gap on the group that I was just in, and I'm going to put in an effort to get across to them. And hey, look who it is, my buddy with the titanium kit. I hadn't seen him since Sager Road, so it's been a few miles. We've been mixing around in that group back there, and we've shook out to the same spot, and that's good. That makes me feel good. It means I'm in the right position. I've been riding the right way because, again, I thought that he and I were on the same ability level. Now, I'd almost forgotten about this part of the race. This is the wall. There's so many significant features in the Barry Roubaix course that when I came around the corner and saw this one, I was instantly taken back to previous years where by the time I'm to the top, I am totally dead. But not this year, not this year. I have come into the bottom of the wall with a decent heart rate. I'm feeling really good. And I'm ready to put in a consistent effort here and get up this thing feeling decent by the time I get to the top. Now you're seeing riders having to stop. They're going to have to walk their bikes up this thing, which is completely understandable given the nature of the wall and how steep it is. Now I'll tell you, I'm on a 1x drivetrain, so I have less gears than if I had a 2x drivetrain, and I'm in my smallest gear, and I'm doing 300 watts to continue moving forward. Now the wall will trick you. You'll get to the top of what you think is the top, and then you turn left and there's a little bit more to go, but I'm still okay. 180 beats per minute. That's nowhere near my max. I've done this the best I've ever done. I've ridden this wall the best I've ever done. And I think this is a good time to acknowledge my fitness. And I'm thinking of that during the race. Like, I'm better than I've been in the past. And that feels really good. Now this entire race, when we get to the top of a climb, a lot of riders would sit up naturally because they've just gone hard for a while. And I tried to take advantage of that. And you'll see that here. I want to keep pedaling, I want to keep riding, I want to keep moving forward. Next, we've got this new section of the 62-mile race, and it's awesome. I love this. This is cyclocross-esque style course here. It's hilly, it's bumpy, it's solid though, so there's not a whole lot of sand in here. There is some, and you're also seeing some signs here. This is a sign, there's a chase, like a couch thing you can stop and have your picture taken at. I was really concerned about my performance and about my time, so I didn't get to stop for a photo, but a lot of people did, and there's some pretty sweet photos out there from that. But you're seeing it's like a 2-track through the woods, and this is a private land section, so you can't just go ride this anytime. But I'm feeling really good about it. It's a nice change from riding on the gravel roads or the sandy roads to just be kind of in the forest. This was probably my favorite moment in the race. We're riding through this grassy section, it's soft, and we're rolling quick. Nice little downhill there, and my buddy with the titanium kit's right to my right, so I know I'm in the right spot. Everything is right in the world at this point in time. And I gotta say, I loved this addition to the race. It changes your surroundings for a while and gets you out of whatever mode you were in, and it's really nice. It's also pretty twisty, very unique. Now it does have some sand in it. This was a sandy section which took me and threw me off of the road, so I had to ride in the grass for a second and then jump back through the sand to get back on course. But not as bad as even Sager, I would say. We are doing a pretty decent amount of power through here. I was just seeing 300 watts for a while. It looks like a rider might be having a bit of a cramp session there on the right. I know what that feels like. I've been there. And by this point, in this private land section, I really want to rip through here as fast as I can. So I'm diving in, I'm getting into the groove, putting down some power. This is one of those moments where I thought, like, geez, maybe I would really, really be good at cyclocross if I gave it a solid effort. So maybe we'll do that later in the year. But for now, we're enjoying some cyclocross in the Barry Roubaix. 31.1 miles into this race, and we're back on pavement, and these sections were so nice. You'd be just flying through these rolly paved sections. The road's good, the weather was great today. I've got a group to work with, and this is the maximum amount of fun that I can have. So I'm really holding true to that motto I had before the race. Now I've left this clip in because this is the closest I came to crashing the whole day. As we take this left-hand turn, I don't have an optimal line and it gets loose. Now you can't tell, but for a moment I completely lost all control of my front wheel and it twisted to the right when I wanted to go left. But we were okay. We came out of that unscathed, but I was a little bit shaken up from that point on anytime I get into some loose gravel. Now this was an important part of the race. So we're in a group of about maybe 15 riders. Now there's a group up the road of maybe 10 to 15 riders as well. And I'm seeing my titanium kitted friend starting to go up this hill a little bit faster than the rest of our group. And I'm thinking he wants to bridge this gap. So I'm gonna join him. So I'm putting in a reasonable effort to get back across to his wheel. And when I get there, I actually ease up because I assume the entire group is on my wheel and that eventually we'll close this gap to the group in front of us, but it's gonna take a while. However, I look back right about now and realize that there's no one on my wheel and the group is actually quite a ways back. And I think the rider in front of me has realized this as well, and he starts to put in more power. Eventually, I'm able to recover enough on his wheel to pull through, and we're actually going to do the thing that you call bridging a gap. We're leaving one group and riding our way up to the next group, and the group behind us never catches back up to us. So this feels really significant because I'm finally strong enough in one of these events to do that type of maneuver, and it feels awesome. here we are finally catching that group in front of us, and I was worried that they were actually going too slow and that the group behind us would catch, but that did not end up being an issue. Just pulling off the front here at 42.2 miles in, and this was about the point where I'm really starting to feel it. The heat, the dust, the loose gravel, it's all starting to get to me. I'm getting pretty tired, and I'm ready to sit in the rest of this race to the finish. Here's a good look at the group we've been riding with. Everybody in this group was strong. And there's about 8 riders, including myself here. There may have been a rider behind me as well, so maybe 10 we'll say. Now 52 miles in, I was sort of shocked to see the Team Clark Logic rider from last weekend at the Dirty 30 is on the left side of your screen there in the reddish blue kit. And she was part of the group that had dropped me on one of the climbs near the finish of the Dirty 30. So I know I'm in the right place. This is great. I've caught up to her, which means I'm riding well. And it totally reinvigorates me and gives me a whole new motivation to continue riding strong. That's not the only familiar rider we're going to see today, because on our right hand side in the Ann Arbor Velo Club kit, this is Tyler. You might remember him from the Dirty 30 video where he opens it up with a couple miles to go and leaves me in his dust.
Hey, how's it going?
How are you?
Good.
Good to see you again.
Yeah, right? Tyler?
Yeah.
Hey, I remembered.
How you doing?
Good. Funny how we wind up here again, huh?
That was awesome because it was just more confirmation that I was doing the right thing and riding the right way to catch up to Tyler, who had, like I said, just beat me last weekend. So that feels good. We skip forward to 59 miles. We are very, very close to the end of this race. And thankfully there's quite a bit of pavement, so you get to roll fast. This rider in front of us just literally sits up and lets a gap open, which was a little bit confusing at the time, but no worries. The rider in the yellow had been vigilant all day, well, the whole time that I've been riding with them, and they're gonna close this down. So it's not all on me, which is great. Look at this effort, shutting it down, and we're back. No issues there. But I'm starting to think about what the sprint might look like, or what the finish might look like. It's rare I get to sprint out of a race because last year I was cramped up too much to have that opportunity. So I'd like to do that this time. You know, you can simulate sprints and stuff in training, but doing it in a race is just a totally different experience. So you saw the Clark Logic rider there still with me, and I'll admit there's a little bit of me that really wants to beat them because they beat me last weekend. So that's kind of in the back of my mind as well. We're in a pretty reduced group of about 5 riders here. I'm on the back of the group. This rider in green had just done a massive effort for quite some time. And the 4 of us now are going to go around him. I think he stays on the back of our group for a while here. Now the Clark Logic rider and the rider in white had explained that there was a group catching us, so they were doing some work. This rider in front of me is going to pull through. And it's right about here that I decide that as soon as I can see the finish line, I'm going to open it up and see if I can make it there first out of our group. So we take this kind of a right-hander and I can see the finish. So just like I had planned to do, I'm going to open it up, give it everything I've got, and see what happens. So we touched 800 watts there. We're up to 29 miles an hour. I'm going to tell you this is a little bit of an incline, but I'm not totally positive. It feels like it. My power's dropping. This is everything I have to get to the finish. And I do check back somewhere between here and the finish and realize that I'm going to be okay finishing where I'm at from that group. And this is going to be one of the most successful races I've ever had. No cramping, finishing strong, there it is, and we're done. We're done with the 62-mile Barry-Roubaix. It's a little bit longer, but hey, more for your money. And now we get to roll in, down to the party. It seems like a good time to bring up last year's results versus this year's results. So 2022, I finished in a time of 3 hours and 59 minutes versus this year I did 3 hours and 43 minutes. I also placed 415th out of 754 riders last year versus this year 216th out of 1,009 riders. Now finishing in the hundreds is definitely not front group stuff, but that improvement is massive, and that's really what I wanted to see this year. If I can continue to improve at this rate, who knows where I could go. And congrats to everybody else who finished the race, because it was a hard day out there. I know there were some crashes, definitely some adversity, but overall, fantastic race.